like 55-45 favor Na'Vi.
I have to agree. I think Na'Vi at least looks like the better team, but Alliance, like you said, on the home turf, who know what they're gonna do?
Right. I mean, just look at the openings as well. For Na'Vi, they take out the obvious bans. You take away the Nature's Prophet, away from Bulldog, of course. You ban out the Wisp. Those feel like almost entirely respect bans, whereas Alliance, even if you take away Our Styles Undying and you take away Havosa Shrek, those bans you could still justify just by banning those heroes because they're both very, very strong. So I feel like Synderin was kind of right when he said, it's an advantage to go into a lineup and say, okay, well, we have to ban these heroes against them, period, even if they're not necessarily top tier. So Na'Vi, they open up with the Queen. They also are able to get their hands on a Shaker, whereas Alliance, they go for the Shadow Fiend and the Bane. Bane not usually prioritized so heavily in the first couple of picks, but we'll see how it works out for them.
One could make the argument that Alliance should be banning out Sonico's Winter Wyvern.
It depends on your lineup too, I think.
Well, I think Na'Vi first picked it Winter Wyvern yesterday, so clearly it's a hero that Na'Vi really value. They don't pick it up early this game, but it's...
In a lot of cases, though, Sonico also plays Shaker as well. So it really depends on, I think, how the draft kind of fills out. Because if you second pick a Shaker, you have a lot of time to adapt that pick to whether you want it to be offlane, or if you feel like you can get away running it as supports. Because a lot of Shakers so far in DreamLeague, at least in the LAN finals portion, have still had pretty decent blink timings, even as like position 4 or 5. So I don't really think that running support Shaker is maybe as bad as I originally thought it was. But nowadays, it's like you get your blink like 25 minutes like max, and then you can just have a huge impact throughout the mid and the late game.
Beastmaster is going to be the pickup here for Alliance, and that seems to be Bulldog's hero. Normally we see a lot more hate towards Bulldog, but it looks like Na'Vi is taking out some of the heroes that Alliance has been playing a lot lately. Slaughter being the ban here. To me personally, Slaughter is always hit or miss. There's never in between. You know what I mean? Like Slaughter either has a game where he's 12-2 and 18, or he's 0-5 and 10.
I think the hero relies a lot on his blink dagger timing and also being able to have a team that can help him in those fights. And with what Alliance have right now, you already have the threat of a minus armor strategy, right? Like opening up Shadow Fiend, you already got your Presence of the Dark Lord going. That kind of strategy transitions very well into mid-late game, and their damage scaling is insane. There's very few teams that can really keep up with the amount of minus armor that you would get, and that means that anytime you're taking a team fight, you run the risk of just popping straight away. We've also been seeing Shadow Demon yesterday, I believe, was picked by Burden, and they also had a Slaughter on top of that. So they had Amplify Damage and Soul Catcher. So there's a lot of compositions where you can partner with that and be able to take down even the tankiest heroes. So I do think the ban is warranted, and as you mentioned, Alliance have a very large amount of experience with Slaughter, maybe more than most teams, I would say. I think they were the first team to start running it a lot, and I know they love their Dazzle as well, as Na'Vi have also banned that out.
The funny thing is that CIS team of old loves Dazzle. They used to actually first pick it quite a bit, run offensive tri-lanes with it, defensive dual lanes, but we're not going to see it here. And Vengeful Spirit, almost a forgotten support, used to be one of the highest picked, I want to say just a couple of months ago. Obviously the swap, very good against carry heroes like Void's Chronosphere being one of them, but why do you think that we're going to see this pick? Obviously, as a way to guarantee you to swap out the Fiend's Grip.
Well, it's Roar as well.
Yeah, Roar.
I think the Roar is the more important one, because even if you swap defensively, like you don't actually want to swap to stop the Bane's channel most of the time, because that essentially just means you're going to be killing yourself in the process. You can swap, I guess, defensively to put him farther away, but that doesn't really matter in most cases. Gripped, yeah, you're still actually Fiend's Grip. But for the Beastmaster Roar, it's just stopping the follow-up damage and ensuring that the core that they go on is not just going to be immediately bursted down. So I think a lot of the times when we first saw 6.84 roll out, we saw a tiny bit more Venge than we do nowadays, because Beastmaster was like priority #1 for a lot of these teams.
Yeah.
But anymore, it's like you pick it like 3rd or 4th when you see an opportunity for having vision and being able to scout out, and they're going for the Treant Protector as well. So they're going to have a very difficult team to fight into in the early game. All these heroes are durable except for the SF, right? Like Treant Protector, very high health. Beastmaster, very tanky, good base armor. Bane has great stat gain for a support hero, and Shadow Fiend is pretty much the only go-to target. And with the assistance of Tree Armor, this is going to be a pretty tanky SF too.
A hero that we don't see too much anymore, and this is a lycanthrope on the dire side, so Roshan's going to be much easier. Normally, Treant's very good against split pushers because you can heal them up, but Lycan, when he comes to your tower, the wolf is your door. Yeah, your tower is down. I don't think living armor is going to do too much to Well, it'll slow it down a little bit, but it's not going to have the same effect that a normal tree would have at protecting their towers. With that said, Overgrowth is very good against Lycan.
Yeah, there's a couple of things on Alliance, actually. In terms of tools to deal with the Lycan, you have Roar and Fiend's Grip both penetrating BKB and Overgrowth. So there's a lot of things that you can use to deal with him, but I would also say that Lycan in the mid-late game can rat extremely well against this team, assuming the Beastmaster doesn't have his Blink Dagger up. Like, until that point, he'll be able to deal damage to towers with ease. Like, if he gets Book going at a decent timing and he gets his Vlads, or even, you know, being dire side right now, Na'Vi can even look to abuse Roshan at some stage in the game. Like, the Venge can just howl into the pit, Lycan solos it within, like, less than a minute, more or less. So it's going to be something that Alliance are going to have to constantly keep in mind. They're going to have to utilize their Beastmaster Hawk Vision a lot to make sure that the Na'Vi aren't able to sneak that at some stage in the game. But I do think that both drafts are pretty solid. I would say Navi's probably has a bit easier way of playing it. I think Alliance right now, until seeing the 4th pick, of course, I think they're going to be the ones who are going to have to perform here. I think Navi's draft is like, it's very good at just being able to run in, like start a team fight, get a couple of kills, and then kind of roll from there. And if you need to transition in the split push, you already have 2 heroes who are very good at it in the Queen of Pain and the Lycan during the mid-late game.
I do say that the early game stage, especially whenever you pick up a Lycan, look at the support he's working with, right? Venge and Earthshaker, these are not exactly the lane dominators. So I feel like that is the whole of Navi's draft so far. And obviously this last pick could salvage it or make it even worse. Alliance looking for their, I want to say carry hero, yeah.
Yep.
So Slardar is definitely one of Loda's go-to. I've seen him play Pugna. We saw a lot of Pugna yesterday, but I don't think this is a Pugna draft. You could go really hard carry. Is Gyro left in the pool? No, Gyro's third banned out.
Third ban, yeah.
I mean, Lycan makes it such that there's just some carries that you can't pick against Lycan. For example, Anti-Mage was a very popular pick yesterday. This is not an Anti-Mage.
No, cannot pick
you
AM
cannot
against
do it.
Lycan.
So what are you feeling here against this kind of fairly strong early game to mid-game aggression and a threat of a very powerful late game? We're looking at Refresher Orb, Queen of Pain. We're looking at Lycan that will eat your buildings and
I actually
base race
didn't
you.
hate the Pugna idea. I actually thought that was pretty good.
Just go early?
Yeah, you can go very early with this. You have Treant Armor for sustain. You have Beastmaster Bane and Treant to protect from the Lycan, just like kind of tunnel visioning on your SF of the Pugna. Decrepify is actually a very good tool to stop Lycan from just dealing damage to the hero in general. Same reason why it counters Ursa.
Okay.
I thought that idea was actually pretty nice. But we will see what they decide to go for. It's kind of hard to say, though. I mean, in some of these drafts, the last pick kind of just makes the lineup, and sometimes you just don't even think of it, and you see it, and then it's just like, ah, that actually makes so much sense.
All right.
But it's going to be the PL, yeah. PL is a really solid choice. And Na'Vi, last pick Broodmother.
Immediate pick as well.
Yeah, there's no counter push really at all on the side of Alliance. They have raises and axes, and that's about it. So Pycat, he's going to need to have a very good start. They might even have to transition him at some point in the game to just solely dealing with Funnick and those Spiderlings. And if you get caught out in a bad way, this Brood could potentially do a lot of work.
Yeah, I mean, the reason that we see Brood being early is what exactly is Treant going to do in lane against him? I mean, you could sort of zone him out, but...
You can zone him. That's the one thing they're going to have to play around. They're going to need the tree and the Bane, or maybe the tree can do it on his own, just because he's such a beefy hero. Hits harder than anyone else really in the game at level 1, and has tree and armor on top of that. If you just get like a good sentry down, and you can stop Funnick from getting that early couple of levels, like level 3 to 5, delaying that is very, very important to ensure that Loda can find his farm.
Is there any possibility of Alliance going offensive tri-lane against a...
I suppose you could do that. I mean, if you put the Treant and the Bane, that support combination in the very early levels is significantly stronger than a Shaker and a Venge. Like, it's not even close.
Yeah, they just run in and punch people.
Those heroes would be able to trade very, very effectively, but then you're matching up the Beastmaster, I guess, 1 versus 1 against the Brood. I think for Alliance, it would be more beneficial to ensure that Funnick does not get off the ground quickly, because then you're guaranteeing during the mid-game that you would need to just address him constantly, and that can be a huge hindrance if your game plan is to try to make it to that late-game phase and allow your Loda PL to get the farm.
Well, we'll talk about the lanes later because the game has begun. Alliance playing on the Radiant side. Loda will be playing your Phantom Lancer. Effing mad on that Bane. We have Ammo Bulldog helping out on the bottom rune for now with the Beastmaster, but he'll walk up top. Pycat playing the Shadow Fiend at the mid lane, and last but not least, Ake playing Treant Protector, a hero that we don't see too often anymore, but when Treant was in his heyday, this man played it very well and played it a lot.
Indeed he did. On the side of Na'Vi first, here we're going to have Funnick. He's going to be handling that Broodmother. Towards the top rune, we're going to have Dendi playing Queen of Pain. Havos playing on the Lycan. Art Style is handling the Vengeful Spirit. And then finally, Sonico playing on one of his signature heroes in the Shaker.
It looks like Alliance is going to dodge. PL sitting in the top lane for now.
They could just be contesting here. Oh no, they are dodging. They're sending Bulldog bottom.
Beastmaster is the bottom lane, and it looks like we're going to see a level 1 fight. Fissure hits on 3. Dendy in a lot of trouble. Does he have Blink skill? He does. He's going to get out in harm's way. Now Alliance, Loda in the middle of everything. Poor Manshio doing some work, and he's going to jump out. First blood goes to Alliance, and the chase goes the other way. There is going to be, well, there's no Nightmare, because he skilled Brain Stab, which was a big part of him getting that kill. He gets salved up, so a huge win for Alliance. I believe they also got both the Bounty Rune. That's a huge advantage for Alliance at the start of the game.
Not only both Bounty Runes, but Pycat gets first blood on top of that. So he needs 1 CS to be able to get his bottle. He wants to go for a kill on Dendy. Blink just in time. That was close. The other problem, too, is that Dendy's going to have to ferry himself out of salve if he just wants to sit in this lane at all. So there was 2 horrible things. First, dying, and then Dendy not able to contest the wave even a little bit. Like, look at his health. If he walks into a random raise, which Pycat doesn't have mana for right now, he would just straight up die.
And he had to get Blink, right? A big form of your lane control earlier on. The whole thought Sonico, though, give him the right click, doing a ton of damage. There's that salve being ferried by Dendy, but I mean, it's already a huge laning disadvantage for him. We saw what Dendy was able to do once he got off a huge advantage yesterday with Shadow Fiend, and I think Pycat is definitely a skilled enough player to do exactly the same. Dendy should have a very tough time, and Sonico is going to have to do a lot here, and he's doing quite a bit here, harassing Pycat. Is Pycat going to die? He does have the bottle. He's toggling the regen right now, but the right clicks are coming in. Sonico's chasing. Looks like the kill is going to go towards Dendy. Very good way of salvaging this lane, which I thought was almost unrecoverable.
They needed that so bad. Interesting, though, that Pycat ends up getting caught out with even a high ground ward. Like, he knew that Sonico was standing there the entire time. There was no question. Just a little bit surprising that he let himself get that low.
Sonico doing even more damage, dropping a ward on a very normal pull camp on the bottom, on the safe side of the Radiant jungle. No more of that Shadow Fiend stacking. How's that bottom lane going here with the Brood versus the Beastmaster matchup?
Well, Broodmother is not known for her extremely high base damage in the early levels, whereas Beastmaster hits really hard with just 1 branch. Level 3, 71 base damage. Compare that to the 49 of the Brood. So in
not
terms
to factor
of
the boar in as well.
The boar is also very good, but this lane will become more and more lopsided as Funnick gets levels. In the early stage, Bulldog will be more than fine.
Yeah, that base armor also allowed him to tank the creep wave a bit, or tank the Broodmother a bit as well. Top lane looking, I mean, this is the lane that Alliance should be really winning hard because of the first blood as well as the bounty runes. And as you expect, you know, Lycan's going to have a little bit of tough time farming the lane. He's only got 4 CS to Loda, who's leading the farm chart right now.
I think this top lane is really a lot of where Alliance want to apply the pressure, keeping the Lycan away from just getting a Vlad's or getting a book, allowing him to kill Roshan. That's what they want to prevent in the early game by going aggressive. Their supports are much, much better at zoning in general. If you get caught out by a random Leech Seed from Ake or you get Nightmared and you're not in a good position, Navi might just have to straight up sacrifice a hero because it's going to be Leech Seed into Spirit Lance, and that is a significant amount of slow and a lot of damage to deal with just 2 pretty mediocre disables. And also keep in mind that Sonico has had to spend a lot of his time in the early game walking between middle and bottom to try to secure at least his middle lane some kind of comeback, and then maybe try to make something happen on bottom too. But Bulldog's just a bit too tanky for that right now.
I think strategically this is the best thing that Navi could have done this after that start, right? I think Earthshaker being top, you're still not winning that lane. You're preventing some kills, that's definitely true, but I think it's more important for him to disappear off the map to cause havoc on the mid lane. I mean, if he did not get the kill on the Shadow Fiend on the mid lane, there is no mid lane for Navi. The fact that they have done it is a pretty big deal. Sonico is now trying to threaten for another Fissure, but a nicely placed Hawk on top of him will scout out his rotation.
Now Pycat's going to be pretty far back here. Walking Courier, Dendy going in, gets the Shadow Strike off, almost needs a double raise, but he will be able to retreat to safety. I think the rune control is actually more what Navi want to go for, on top of the fact that they're also pressuring Pycat heavily, is if you get both those runes, you take him away from Pycat, you make him Bottle Crow even more, and you also have the opportunity to get a very good rune like a haste or a double damage, which could result in another kill on Pycat. And Alliance's supports are not prioritizing him at all. Like, they are just staying top, they're stopping a Lycan from getting farm, and they're helping Loda. So this SF, he doesn't have supports right now.
Yeah, he's, you know, doing fine without that support. Havos goes in the jungle that actually just farms up a camp, which, I mean, he's not getting much farm on the lane itself.
Oh, they're actually rotating out now. Okay.
Yeah, I think right now PL is big enough to zone out the lane. Well, not zone out the lane, but stay in the lane by himself. Back in the mid lane, though, Sonico in a little bit of trouble. Treant still very slow. and then able to come in for that leech seed.
The two supports actually just rotating in from Alliance to secure PyCat at least one of the runes, realizing that without their help it would be very difficult for PyCat to continue this kind of laning phase. And Fucking Mad might be in some trouble here. Just Fisher down the high ground, gonna tank some creeps. I don't think Dendi wants to commit that with PyCat nearby.
So what is the turning point for Na'Vi? Because we talked about that they want the Lycan Necro book for that early Roche, but that's not happening because of Alliance early game aggression. Then how does the game turn for them? Are we waiting for Dendi to get a double kill out of nowhere? Are we waiting for the Broodmother to knock down T1 towers?
The teleport reaction gank from Dendi is always going to be really strong, so if Alliance ever start going aggressive on maybe the safe laner or the off laner, you can definitely make some kind of rotation happen, but I think they're kind of just waiting it out, letting Funnick get to a point where he becomes a very big nuisance, and Alliance are forced to react to him, because that's when you can start making things happen with your Queen, start relieving a little bit of pressure off of your safe lane Lycan, and allow Havos to start to recover.
Yeah, and the fact that Funnick's on that bottom lane will mean that the T1 and T2 eventually will get sieged down, which will give Na'Vi more room for that Roshan play a little bit later on in the game. But both teams very content to farm or prevent the other team from farming right now. PyCat actually slowed down his farm quite a bit. One part of it is, the Earthshaker constantly being there. Hold that dot. Admiral Bulldog in a lot of trouble on the bottom lane. The spiders are gaining up on him. Like you said, as the lane goes on, it's really Broodmother's lane, and Broodmother will draw that kill on the bottom and continue to harass that tier 1 tower. Well played.
I do like the fact that Alliance are actually not putting too much emphasis on the Brood, because if you do that, then the point of going aggressive in the first place is moot. Like, you wanted to stop the Lycan from farming, they're sticking to their game plan and not letting Havos get to his early Vlad's early Necrobook timing, because that would be, I think, maybe even more impactful than just letting that safe lane kind of fall a bit. But Blink behind the tower here, PyCat in some trouble. Dendi, he has the Sonic Wave available, pops it, one more last hit, and he'll take down PyCat. Bulldog in the area, throws out the roar, teleport reaction coming in from him. He does secure a kill onto Sonico, and they make it a 1-for-1.
Do you feel that the supports are just not doing enough for the side of Alliance? Yes, they're not helping out in the bottom lane, and that's a strategic choice. By the way, that bottom lane, tier 1 tower will go down. They're not helping out mid lane either, so yes, they're shutting down the Lycan, at least momentarily, but Lycan's in the jungle safely farming. I feel like the supports need to either follow him into the jungle or start helping out the other lanes, because PyCat, as well as Emerald Bulldog's having a lot of trouble.
I think their mentality is, and might have to hold that thought, is Artstyle. He's going to get Nightmare out of the tower here. It could be a very easy kill for Alliance, and in fact it is. Lotus secures that one with a Spirit Lance. But as far as the supports on Alliance, I don't really think that... If you have a PL on your team, and you're going ultra late against Na'Vi, there is the fear of the Shaker and the Queen, but the rest of the side of Na'Vi don't really have the tools to deal with a very fed Phantom Lancer, and Loda is very proficient on the hero. So I would say that keeping the Lycan down means that you have a better chance of making it to that late game, because he's the hero who will actually be able to break the high ground.
But is Lycan being kept down? That's my question, because right now Havos is having not exactly a time of his life in the jungle, but he's farming.
He's farming okay. But I mean, this is, again, the game plan that they've adopted, and I think sticking to it is probably a better idea than just saying, maybe we need to try to do something else. Because really, you don't have Fiend Script, you don't have Overgrowth. Killing Funnick in the first place is going to be very, very difficult unless you have like a Dust and a Roar coming out from Bulldog. So if they can coordinate those ganks, then that's okay. But I think for now, Alliance are not feeling too worried about the situation.
Well, Na'Vi seems like their game plan is clear as effing Matt gets fissured. The spiders, though, will just kind of easily walk over that Big Earth and gets the kill. How is that even logic? It's not. Dota, what a game.
I mean, spiders are scary when you leave them to their own devices, at least in this lane. That last pick from Na'Vi proving to be very fruitful here in the first 8 or so minutes of this game. They're going to spot out PyCat on the high ground as well, but diving this deep, probably not what they want to go for. And again, it's all about biding time for Alliance at this point. If PyCat can get to an early, well, anything timing at this point, as he doesn't even have finished treads, he's going to need to get those before he even thinks about mech or BKB. It will also D-ward. But if he can get something going for himself, and Loda can get up his Diffusal Blade, maybe a Manta, I think they will be well into the game.
Yeah. Nice design by Havos, denying that with the Wolves. Well done. It's very clear what the game plan here for Na'Vi is. They want to put a ton of pressure on that mid lane, continue to shut down the Shadow Fiend as their Lycan is being slowed down themselves. And I think a weak Shadow Fiend in this mid game is going to be problematic for Alliance. I think Mech is kind of what they need to tide their sort of weak meat game to allow the PL to grow strong. Do you think that's going to be his item choice, or are we looking at something like a BKB or perhaps even a Yule Scepter?
I think BKB is the safest possible choice for his own survival. If he's looking to fight around his team, then Mech is probably just as good, if not better, especially considering the cost. But if you get BKB, you can pretty much live every time. Dust, gonna scout out here. Hawk is popped. Funnick is spotted, but he doesn't take any damage, so he's not gonna get his pathing broken inside of the web. They really, really want to kill this Brood. Getting him out of the jungle would be awesome for Alliance if they can manage to make it happen. Does not look like that's gonna be the case, though.
Well, the fact that they already spent so much resource and time just on this Brood, I think it's already kind of worth it. Funnick still dancing around. He's got the hand of Midas. He knows that this game is going to go long, and he will need all the gold he could get against that PL. He could actually just Midas a born run, but it looks like he's just saving it for one of the bigger creeps in the jungle.
And he's holding onto it for a very long time, actually. There we go. Finally pops it. Spots out Ake in the bottom lane.
Top lane looks like PL in a little bit of trouble here. He can actually just jump away with double ganger. No, it's been on cooldown for about 9 more seconds. Arstyle not in range. Drop off that magic missile.
He's actually fairly tanky with just having those drums, and a lot of Phantom Lancer players end up putting many points in his stats. Needs to be careful though. Fissure lands, still has the doppelganger up. He's gonna get a tree armor from Ake, and he'll be safe for the time being.
Bottom lane, Funnick's gonna get a solo kill against 2 heroes in lane. Here comes Dendi. A little bit slow starting the game, but here comes a Sonic Wave. One more nuke should do the job, and Na'Vi just picking apart the map of Alliance, at least on the bottom half. Look at the amount of wardage on the mid lane. Look at the amount of control in the Radiant jungle. I feel like there's nobody in the Alliance side that could come into this jungle without 3 or 4 heroes that could ward away this Broodmother. He's just causing so much havoc.
To be honest, I would say Navi's jungle is maybe safer for Alliance than their own jungle at this point. It's just too difficult to track down the Broodmother at this point. But that's kind of what we knew Navi's game plan was. As soon as Alliance decided to go aggressive and dodge keeping Funnick down, that lane will eventually get overrun by the Brood. It just happens. There's not many matchups that hero loses in a 1 versus 1 setting, so they had to, in the back of their minds, know that it would reach this point to some degree. Maybe not as extreme as it is right now, because I think that's the second time that fucking Mad got caught out and just ended up dying solo in the woods. But top lane, Havo's taking some damage here under the tower. No teleport reaction coming in yet from the side of Na'Vi. I don't think Loda wants to go too deep on this, but there is a rotation coming in from Na'Vi, triple smoke.
Yeah, both teams are smoking up, and they're kind of going around the same place. The center of attention will be Loda. Loda does have drums. The Fissure is going to hit, but looks like Loda will... Well, he actually get off the spell, but a couple of nukes will do it. Meanwhile, on the back line here, Soneko drops the Echo Slam, but not hitting much. Effing Mad getting a magic missile. Looks like Queen of Pain is going to be the first one to drop. Loda somehow survives, and the chase goes the other way. Emerald Bulldog still does not have the Beastmaster Roar. It looks like, no, he just used it. And that will be it for the engagement. Back in the mid lane, teleport coming in. Funnick still causing havoc everywhere he goes.
I think Bulldog TP'd just to make sure that Paquette didn't get dove there. It would have been a very hairy situation otherwise. And yeah, Funnick has been kind of the standout for me. Playing this Brood, hasn't died a single time, 4-0, sitting on 2,800 gold and a Midas. He doesn't even have to buy boots. He's 501 movement speed inside of his web without having any boots at all.
What do you think his second item choice will be?
I guess you could go all in and just go for Book, right? I mean, that's not bad. If you want to play ultra safe, you can go BKB, and you are pretty much unkillable, but I think that's almost overkill. Does he actually need BKB right now?
I mean, this is one of the worst BKB games, right? Considering that there is Fiend's Grip, Beastmaster Roar, as well as Overgrowth.
Yeah, so I don't think it's very good, but if you wanted to just be like, I can never die,
yeah,
it's still a decent item. He goes back for the treads, which I think is still fair. He's level 11 now, so that flat damage bonus that he gets from Insatiable Hunger means that the attack speed bonus from having treads and Midas makes him a very, very high kill threat in a one-on-one situation.
So now Loda shifts to the bottom side of the map. Do you now Alliance will start putting more focus in their own jungle, start moving around with 3 or 4 heroes, de-warding, warding up, making sure this Broodmother is pushed back, or are we going to see more of the same place out for Alliance, focusing on the top half of the map?
I don't think at this point that it's really worth trying to hold down the Lycan anymore. Once he has his Vlads, and even the Medallion picked up now in art style, Na'Vi are going to be heading into the Roshan pit here, so there is a possibility that this just dies before Alliance. No, they are heading into the area. Could see a fight break out here.
Yeah, Rosh is dropping very quickly, and with the Roshan going down, I don't think they can. And they have to deal with Funnick as well with a huge power spider. Fissure hits on everyone. Loaded trap on the wrong side, swapping in towards the Lycan, and Lycan chewing him alive. He can't even get off the double ganger. Huge ultimate coming out from Dendi. They want Pycat. They see Pycat, and Pycat trying to fight his way out. He's going on Dendi. Dendi, man fighting. He does have the Aegis though. Not exactly the worst trade for the Shadow Fiend, who was doomed to die anyways, taking down Dendi with him. But right now, Na'Vi overrunning Alliance on the side of the Radiant jungle.
That was just an unfortunate start to the fight for Alliance because I think Lodi used his doppelganger to scout with illusions to see if they were in the pit in the first place. But I'm not sure if there was no Hawk or what, because normally if you have Beastmaster, you just let Bulldog scout the pit for you, unless the Hawk had died somehow. But either way, not really the engagement that Alliance were looking for. They're going to have to really just dig their heels in and try to turtle this out now, because with that Aegis up, or excuse me, the Aegis got expended by Dendi when he killed the Shadow Fiend, but still. I guess that might be kind of a hidden good thing for Alliance, is that the Aegis didn't end up like breaking down a tier 2 tower or even a tier 1, for example. Like their tier 1 middle lane, their tier 1 top lane is still alive. They've lost 1 tower to this Brood so far, and I think that is kind of a blessing for Alliance.
It is a blessing. At the same time, I think what Alliance has trouble with, at least in the next 10 to 20 minutes, is that their support are very underfarmed compared to what Navi's got. If you look at the Vengeful Spirit, she's got a Medallion Courage. If you look at Soneko, is very close to a Blink Dagger, which will spell big trouble in the coming mid game. Whereas, I mean, look at the Bane, he's got Dust. If you look at the Tree, he's got Arcane Boots, which is not terrible, but it's just a different tier of item. These two supports on the Navi side are going around to get kills, and the Alliance supports are going around to find a Brood that they never had hopes of killing.
Yeah, their supports just don't really do well against Brood in general. Even just having like Loda in the woods down here with fucking Mad, like he has his Fiend Script available now, but before there was just absolutely no way they were going to have a chance of killing Funnick unless he gets caught out by Roar. But having multiple tools to take him out is going to be a good thing. So the higher level their supports get, I think they could potentially start turning things around. Overgrowth available on Ake, Fiend Script now on fucking Mad, and of course they do have the Beastmaster's Roar. So the lockdowns, they're there, and they can find kills.
They're just not finding the heroes.
Yeah.
At least not right now. Havo's coming in, though. He is going to get Roared, I think. They're now chasing on Pycat, but Pycat does have the Living Armor. Here comes the Beastmaster Roar, but where's the damage? Here comes Ake as well. He's looking for the Overgrowth. He doesn't hit anything, and now the Big Bad Wolf running back in. So Neko on the left side in a lot of trouble. Dendi coming in as well. This is a chaotic team fight. Double Ganger being used. Arstyle now being focused by PL. Can she make it out? Looks like she will not. Great raise by Pycat, and somehow Alliance trades it decently 2 for 2. They lose the offlane Beastmaster, but critically, Loda and Pycat benefiting from those kills.
Did he actually not hit anything with his Overgrowth there? That was really weird.
Yeah, he didn't hit anybody.
He maybe overestimated the range a tiny bit, because it is fairly large.
Yeah.
So I can understand like trying to get somebody on the edge or going for 2 and managing to kind of split the wickets with that one. But I think if that Overgrowth had landed, the fight would have been much more lopsided in favor of Alliance, because that was a very good bait. They immediately get a Roar on the highest damage dealer in that situation, outside of the Queen, which is obviously Havost and the Lycan. And then they just trap out Sonoko on the side, and I think they would have been able to just take him down straight away had that not been the case. But still, that puts Pycat at his mechanism now. So they're going to have another teamfight utility available for them, and the more time that they buy, the better it is. Even though Funnick is still farming away, he actually goes for a Desolator, by the way. So he will deal a ton of right-click damage and be able to take down towers if he's left alone too much longer. But this does make him squishy, too. He's only got around 1,200 health with the Strength Treads on, so a Roar plus one other person can easily take him out now.
Yeah, I mean, the Deso is nice for the damage output, but we are seeing the fact that Trina is being sort of annoying in Brood's shoes, because normally Broodmother slowly whittles away your T2 tower. He's not whittling away anything. That T2 on the bottom lane, very healthy, thanks to Living Armor. So that's why we see that Broodmother not really having too big of a tower effect. Mid lane, Arstyle is just running away, and the boars are not fast enough to catch up.
And Dendi used the Yules there to stop the Fiend Script. He blinks back in. Echo Slam coming out from Sonoko. They're going right onto Pycat. Art Style dropping really low. Does eventually go down here to Bulldog. It's going to be a double for the Bulldog. The Overgrowth comes out. Havos now in trouble, still in the shapeshift form. He's going to try to make his way out. Dendi also forced a blink back. A 2 for 0 exchange with a blink being revealed, and Echo Slam not even resulting in 1 kill.
I mean, that was 100% the mech, right? Shadow Fiend dropped so low, but immediately got mech'd up, bottle up as well, and they're pushing the other way. Broodmother, what can she do now? She's going to try to pressure at bottom, but I don't think she's going to get that tier 2, simply, again, thanks to the fact that Living Armor is going to make it slower. Great deny by Dendi, though, lessening the stab a little bit.
I mean, Funnick, he gets a tower. It's not a total disaster for Na'Vi. The Echo Slam, I was really expecting it to do a little bit more, honestly. Like, going in and getting an Echo on the Pycat like that should have resulted in a pretty easy kill, but Ake was there with a very, very nice Overgrowth, and Bulldog casually just dying to Ancients over here. No big deal. And we're going to see another smoke from the side of Na'Vi. There is no Echo, but Dendi does have his ulti.
It feels like the Na'Vi core is just not having a big impact right now. Dendi dropping the roar. I mean, I think a big part of that is the draft that Lions have. Their heroes they're just tanky.
Yeah, they're all tanky. That's kind of what we were talking about. Is the only one who can really be bursted, if you want to call it that, is probably the Shadow Fiend, and even he's got a mech.
PL is gonna get bursted as everybody has blink, so they could go from high ground to low ground. But Pycat, huge Sonic Requiem, so I'll call it Sonic Wave.
Sonic Requiem.
Yeah, Sonic Requiem of Black Souls, as he just deletes Sonico from the map.
That was a very nice pick off there. Good timing, to say the least. He's up to 2,000 gold now as well. So after his mech, he can go for BKB if he wants. It's still pretty good. I'm not sure if it's that good against a Lycan team, though. Like, I'm kind of debating if it's even really worth. Maybe just go for stats. Like, SNY wouldn't be too bad, just to beef yourself up a tiny bit. Scotty is also pretty good against the Broodmother.
You're talking about Pocket?
Yeah, for Shadow Fiend. Because I don't know if... Like, BKB is still good.
I'm not averse going into something... Funnick looks like he gets Overgrowth and then Beastmaster Roared and probably Phoenix Grip after as well. Funnick looks like he had a great game, but the Alliance Gang Party has finally found him, and that's a key kill because you relieve a lot of pressure on the bottom half of the map. Top lane, though, T1 Tower, a lot of trouble. Pycat trying to run away from the Big Bad Wolf, but the TP is going to come in. Arsao being left alone. He's going to swap, but into his doom. Alliance making a strong recovery in this mid-game. And again, Living Armor is going to keep all of these outer towers alive.
Oh, Dendi, he's going in. He wants his kill. He's got a couple of bottle charges left. He needs his team to teleport in. Dendi not wanting to pursue this any farther. There is no teleport reaction from Alliance, and there's also somebody coming around from the back. It's Sonico. He's got the fissure, and Visor available. He's got the blink. They did not see him. Okay, there we go. Blink forward into the Echo Slam. I was going to say, he might not have seen him because it was nighttime.
He's on CD, though, so he can't make it out. This is essentially a suicide mission.
But nobody else is TPing, and there's no Fiend script.
Well,
can he actually kill him? I don't think he can kill him. He needs another person. Here we go. Ake's coming in from the side. Oh, the blink over!
This
Sonico, what a player!
I mean, this is the most clowny game where, like, you dive under a T2 tower, you don't have a way to TP out, but their supports just can't lock you down. In fact, he's going back in. Here's a fissure for you, effing man. And he's going for the kill? Are you kidding me? No, Dendi's coming in from the side to help out. How is he actually getting away with this? If I try this in a pub game, I get reported.
I don't think this is a pub game, but
I know. I mean,
he knew that Dendi was there. He preemptively popped the book and was just going to blink in to go in. So I don't really think it was too risky at all. Actually,
no, I'm talking about the previous play. Hovos on the top lane, a lot of trouble as his mana being burned out. This PL is starting to become a huge issue. Teleport going into the mid lane here. Ake in a little bit of trouble, but he's going to get bailed out by his friend Loda. There's a straight roar going back
too. Bulldog catching out the spider. Got that book 3 in the roar. That's going to be another kill going their way.
Arsao's going to drop as well. Loda picking it up. Alliance making magic happen. This is what normally Na'Vi is really good at, finding random kills everywhere. The Alliance holding their own.
A lot of this has to do with two things. The strength of the Beastmaster during the mid-game. Once the Book 3 is picked up, his solo kill potential as an off-lane position or even like a 1v1 that's not mid is almost unmatched. Like, Bulldog will be able to solo kill any hero on the side of Na'Vi, maybe barring the Lycan inside of Aurora. Like, that's just how much damage the Book gives him with his Inner Beast aura and, of course, the axes on top of that. The other part is that Loda now having the Diffusal Blade and enough tankiness to live through a little bit of burst, he's now a huge kill threat on his own, even to supports. Like, if the Shaker gets caught out, or if the Venge, maybe even the Brood, you just die.
So are we starting to see that Alliance is going to have essentially a death grip on this mid to late game? Because, as we talked about, there's really no real way to deal with this PL. Apart from a Sonic Wave and an Echo Slam, which...
The Echo is still sufficient, though. That's the thing. Like, in a team fight, if you land a big Echo, they can still easily take out Loda. It's not really the issue of being able to find the kill itself. It's, is that situation going to arise where we're going to have that 5 versus 5 clash? Because I think with the utilization of Beastmaster Hawk and a PL...
You're saying Alliance is going to dodge and...
I don't think they want to take, like, a straight-up 5v5 unless they have to.
Okay, so first question about is... Can they actually take down Loda? We saw the fight in the mid lane where they went on the Shadow Fiend. Shadow Fiend just got mech'd up. He kind of just, you know, tanked Magic Wand and then fought the other way. And also, if you burst down Loda, that's great and all, but once you expended all those spells just for Loda, what about the Beastmaster? What about the Shadow Fiend? Those are immediate threats that you also have to deal with. if you're on the side of Na'Vi.
That is very true. But again, it all comes down to how the fight is played. If the Echo only hits on one, I can see your situation very easily arising, where you don't have enough in the tank to end up killing the other cores. That is very possible. But if for whatever reason, a handful of people get caught out at the same time, as again, there's 3 heroes on the side of Alliance that are melee, it is possible that you could get a good enough Echo to just win the fight straight up, and they're going to find Loda in the top lane with an Echo right now. Sonico and Hard style.
Confirmed.
They take him out.
They have enough damage.
As said, the Echo is sufficient.
Uh-oh. Oh, it looks like it's going to be a nightmare straight into a TP out. No back off.
Yeah, nice move there from fucking Mad. Dendi actually manages to get his book 3 now. Very good pickup on the Queen.
Avos giving chase to Pycat, and Pycat, he's got a Yule Scepter, so that means he's not making it out. He's trying to go for the Yule TP, and Artstyle, can he get close enough? He can't!
What a play!
Well done. And they're going to take down these Necrobooks, which, by the way, gives a pretty big bounty. Back in the mid lane, teleports are coming in right now, and Funnick forced to run away. He's got to respect the lockdown power these supports have in this mid game. So, judging by the item choice of Dendi's Necro 3, it seems like Na'Vi want a really hardcore focus on the mid game. Do you feel like, first of all, this is the right choice? And second of all, whether it will work out or not?
I think Necro is always amazing on Queen, like in every single game. It's just a very strong item. It's not really one of those things that people often think about, but not just the ability to deward and scout out invisible units, but those things just hit really, really hard. Like you just saw Pycat almost get soloed by just the books, and fucking Matt had to come in and finish one off just to make sure that the death didn't kill Pycat when he killed the melee one, but still...
That made no sense if you take it out of context. The death did not kill Pycat.
Yeah, but the death, whatever you want to call it. What is the mechanic?
Last will,
Last will, yeah. The last will didn't... Well, it would have killed him if he kept attacking it. But the point is that when you have an item like that, it just means that your team fights are so much stronger. And if somebody just happens to randomly kill it on accident with like axes or something, you can just burst a hero down on accident for free. And also the push potential is insane.
I totally agree with you about how Necrobook is excellent for this stage of the game.
Oh, Funnick.
As you see, that's a kill.
Yep, double raise. One more auto attack from Pycat. Gets it with ease. And they're going to spot out Sonico here on the bottom lane as well. But I'm pretty sure he's onto it. He does not want any part of this.
He'll back off. The thing about going for Necrobook is, yes, it's great now. Unfortunately, it's not Aghanim's refresher in about 20 minutes. It's Beastmaster Roar up top lane, and they're going to just get random kills all over the map. And now Havos in a lot of trouble as well. Yule Scepter brings him up. Sonic Requiem of Black Souls is going to bring him down very low, but no follow-up anymore as Beastmaster Roar has been expended.
Yeah, I mean, that one was a little bit... I think just to push him back, that's enough. Like, making sure that Havos doesn't make use of his Aegis. Just getting the tier 1 in the off lane's not really too big of a deal. Sonico going to get chased down here by some illusions, but the Necro 3 from, I believe it was Dendi, yeah, who popped it, just helping him out a bit. I don't know. Na'Vi right now, they're kind of just getting picked a little bit too much. And their Broodmother is not really giving the same kind of effect that it was a little while ago. Even with his item progression still remaining consistent, he's never really able to get to the base. And even if he does, it's for a very short amount of time. And if that happens, like you mentioned earlier, the Treant just heals the tower back up to full health.
I mean, he's just afraid of that Beastmaster being one of it. And of course, the double support that could lock him down for a long time.
Yeah.
And I think the reason that Na'Vi is not having really much success by splitting up is that, Loda. That's the thing, like everybody on the side of Alliance could either kill very quickly or hold them for such a long time for the cores to come in to kill. So, and they're kind of forced to play this split up Dota, which falls to prey to things like Beastmaster, Bane, and as well as Treant Protector.
The irony of it is, Na'Vi are actually ahead by a pretty significant margin when you just look at the Golden Experience graphs. We just saw it a second ago. But it doesn't really feel that way, the way the game's being played out. Because for some of the first times in the game, Alliance are able to reclaim their own jungle. They're actually applying pressure to the map of their own volition, and they're finding picks. So it's not like earlier where Funnick was just sitting there and having 3 heroes with Benny Hill music on in the woods just trying to kill him. Now it's, okay, we're actually able to make our own moves. And as said yesterday by Cinderin, one of the worst feelings in the world is not having map control, but Alliance have reestablished it for themselves.
And that sounds like it's a fine and dandy thing to say, but it was very difficult to do that against Na'Vi.
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying it was easy. I'm just saying they got to that point.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I have to remind you guys that Na'Vi had like wards between T1 and T2 towers like 10 minutes ago, and they had Broodmother webs all over the Radiant jungle. It was just a really tough thing that Alliance was able to do, and they did it splendidly. Partially thanks to a little bit of random life throwing away by Na'Vi. Also, I think the map control is going to get much better once Stream Protector finishes his Aghanims. Ake slowly and quietly has been getting there, and he's almost there. Oh, here comes Funnick. He wants to fight this. Emerald Bulldog will just simply blink away. And look at Funnick. He's down to half HP and out of mana almost instantaneously from those books.
Yeah, he's got a Soul Ring, so he should be able to sustain his mana enough to be able to at least continue to push, but again, that's the power of the Book 3. And the same thing can be done from Dendi. All he has to do is throw out a Shadow Strike, pop the book, and you just get mana drain in a matter of seconds. And no one really on the side of Alliance has a significant mana pool whatsoever, so if they put it on the tree, he's not going to be able to overgrowth. You can mana burn Loda if you catch him out with a stun and don't manage to actually kill him in the stun duration, but he's probably the most difficult hero to burn at this point.
Na'Vi making a big push down the mid lane right now, and that tier 3 tower in a lot of trouble. Raises will lower the creep wave counts a bit, but Na'Vi will back out for now. Can Na'Vi actually make that kind of push, or are they just kind of doing it to get a little bit of chip damage?
Oh, the chip damage is kind of useless.
Right, so I mean, what was the push really about then?
It could just be making the enemy team fall back. Now, Roshan's not going to be up for a little while, so normally you do those types of moves when you think somewhere in terms of, okay, Roshan's going to be up soon, or we want to try to force a reaction so we can either get the map control back for ourselves or try to go back to like split pushing or something like that. But since Roshan's not up, I think it was just I don't want to call it like a power play, but when you have Lycan with 10-second BKB and Queen now with 10-second BKB, their power spike is actually going to be fairly significant, as in Lycan does a lot of damage.
Yes.
So if he gets to hit the tower for a little while, you're not going to be able to heal it back up with a tree armor if it dies in like 5 seconds, which could be what Navi's game plan is going to be, as they do have that Book 3 available again on Dendi.
A lot of the core's damage on Navi's side is very much so predicated on the supports landing their stuns, though. I mean, they can hit very hard, but without those disables, I think PL, Beastmaster, Shadow Fiend is going to just run away. Let's see if our style is going to find that swap. Let's see if Soneko is going to find that echo. Here we go, another siege up on the high ground. They will have all 5. The Howls are coming up on the Spiders. Spiders being micros away from the raises, but the Axis will clear up a big bunch of them. And like you said, Swap's going to bring out here immediate self-Yules, but is he on the wrong side? BKB being used. The Echo is going to come out. No! Huge damage output here. Meanwhile, Ake on the back line taking a ton of damage, and that big bang wolf, he's heroes alive one at a time. Buyback coming out from the Bane. I'm not sure if that's going to do anything. A Volt's dropping low. His BKB's running out. Fissure hits on everybody. Huge blinking from Soneko. No Enchanto to follow up. Everybody's dropping low. Then he finds yet another kill. That's 4 kills so far. Counting in the buyback. Emerald Bulldog down to half HP. And I believe Na'Vi has finally broken up the high ground. They will take down the tier 3 tower. And without this tier 3, the Rax is fully open. And they're in a lot of trouble.
I think art style just allowed them to crack high ground with that swap. Like, even though the Yule's timing was really nice from Pycat, as the melee Rax is dropping lower and lower here, they're not going to be able to salvage this one, but Funnick is getting pretty low. 4 staff away coming in from Soneko, going to keep Funnick alive for the time being. He just got annihilated by physical damage. Like, he popped his BKB, and then Pycat just dropped.
Couldn't even get off his Requiem.
Yeah, he died before the Requiem was even finished, and that was in the duration of a BKB, and also a BKB that he freshly purchased. So Na'Vi picked a very opportune time to push, when maybe they didn't know 100%, but they could have been fairly confident in seeing the item pickup and just saying, he probably can't buy his way back into the game. And they find the opportunity for one swap, get a melee Rax out of that. Now, again, Alliance still have the opportunity to come back from this, but it's going to be a lot harder when you're a Rax down.
Do you think ultimately, like, if you look over Ake, right, currently he has Ogre Club Point Booster and a Staff of Wizardry. That's essentially 3,000 gold into an item that isn't, for example, a Solar Crest, which would have helped the Shadow Fiend immensely in that situation.
I mean, in hindsight, yeah, like having a Medallion or a Solar Crest on a team would have been a very, very good pickup. And even Bulldog, I think, could have gone back for it at some point, given he already has his core up. If he wants to go for Refresher, also a very solid choice to be able to have the double roar, double book combo. But it's kind of difficult because in that situation, I don't really think there's any saving Pycat. Like, maybe he gets that Requiem off before he dies.
I think getting the Requiem off is a big part. I mean, the damage reduction alone, the fact that you kill essentially all the minions and summons, or at least damage them. I mean, we're looking at 2 Necrobooks and Wolves and Spiders.
My god, look at how fast this Roshan dies. Not even like 5 seconds, and it's just 100 to 0.
I'm saying if he got off the Requiem, you would reduce Navi's damage significantly just from the damage reduction alone, as well as killing all the summons. So I think the team fight would have been a lot different.
Okay, so you're saying that maybe if he would have lived like maybe like a second or two longer.
Right, because it's not just it's a solo Requiem, right? He'll get the actual Requiem and then his Death Requiem. That's a lot of damage.
Spot Havost in his middle lane. This is a very nice pickoff for the side of Alliance.
Is it a double
pickoff?
pickoff?
To be Aegis. I don't know if they can do it twice. Did they have Overgrowth still? Ake has it. He pops the BKB before the Overgrowth. Ake can throw it out right now, but it's too late. He manages to walk out of range. The Fiend's Grip is going to get canceled here, and Pycat now on the run from Funnick and Vos, both inside of their BKBs. That's going to be a self-heal. Soneko with the block on Bulldog, and they're going to be able to clean up both of them with ease. Alliance now walking down that middle lane. Dendi blinks forward. He wants more. He's looking for Loda. He's totally out of mana, has just enough for a doppelganger. Actually up to the high ground. He will be able to get himself to safety. Soneko looking for another fissure, but the rest of the team is not close enough. And I gotta say, man, Soneko has just been on a next level every single time I see this guy play.
Yeah, he's looking for more right now. Ake barely walks away from the stun, but the critical thing right now is that Na'Vi has that kind of lineup that could just break base, and here he comes. That tier 3 tower will be going down very quickly. Arstyle getting focused by the illusions. He's dropping low, and the PL illusions trying to give chase. Somehow Alliance is actually holding this. In fact, they're chasing out. Soneko blinks back. He's looking for that fissure to at least help his allies out. Meanwhile, Funnick's going back in. He sees effing Matt. He will get effing Matt with the help of Dendi. He's going for more. He sees Ake. Ake goes into Viz, will barely survive, and Loda looks like he's going to pick up a freebie, I think. Nobody is dying. Everybody's just running back and forth, and Na'Vi will retreat. That was not too bad for Na'Vi's side, considering that they lost half their team, and they didn't lose any Raxas out of that.
You mean for Alliance?
For Alliance, yeah.
Yeah, Alliance lost a couple there, but losing Bulldog and Pycat again, Pycat's item progression is completely halted at this point.
Right.
He's been at around the same net worth for the past like 5+ minutes, and that is not really great on a Shadow Fiend. Like, that hero excels at flash farming, so to hold a player of Pycat's caliber down for this long, that's not a good sign. Like, you really want to make sure, at this point, even getting like an Assault Cuirass or something going on the team, even just picking up a Vlad's for the armor would be so nice for Alliance. Their heroes are just getting mauled by the Lycan at this point, and the Brood, who goes for that Desolator build. So as soon as they get on you, you just can't really do anything about it. Like, there's no way, even with BKB, Pycat can stand there and try to right-click.
Yeah, it's one thing to say, talk about the item choices of Alliance, because they built their items, the double BOTs on Admiral Bulldog as well as Loda, the Aghanims on the tree. They saw this game going much longer with them having these Raxes up.
Well, that was their game plan.
Right, and frankly, when they were building those items, those were the right items. Here comes a Blink Roar on Hovos, and he's taking a ton of damage. Do they have to lock down the Overgrowth? This time we'll hit immediate BKB out. Home from Hovos. He's going to be fine on the high ground here. Effing man in a lot of trouble. He will just walk out. Swap coming back in there to focus on the Admiral Bulldog. He's going to get burst down very quickly. Soneko, 2-man Echo, 2-man Wave, and they burst down Ake, who drops the gem, and they're going to bring down Pycat as well. That's 4 for nothing. And Na'Vi, they are going to actually push high ground very quickly. Hold that thought. Loda's illusions, at the very least, is burning all of Hovos' mana.
And Na'Vi are actually pretty low at the moment. I think, did he use the cheese there, or did he give it to someone else? I know Hovos had cheese in his inventory. He must have popped it and then get mana burned again by the illusions after the fact. So they did make him expend that. But they are going to be going down here, getting the tier 2. Not going to be too much of a problem for Na'Vi. I don't know if they have enough time. Okay, yeah, they're killing that really fast. Yeah. Maybe they do have time.
They have a ton of time.
That damage is insane.
I mean, look at the heroes that are coming back, right? It's a Bane who cannot defend towers. It's the Living Armor Treant, which could essentially slow down the push for a fraction of a second. And then Beastmaster coming back in 15, and by that time, your Raxes are dead.
Yeah, this is absolutely ridiculous how fast they kill. Like, they have the Assault Cuirass on the Lycan. They got the Desolator on top of the burst. It's going to be another set of racks going the way of Na'Vi. All they really have to do is just walk out of here without losing anyone, and they'll be more than happy with that exchange.
Can Alliance make the comeback?
It's a really hard game to make a comeback in now. The only thing that I question from Alliance is the fact that Pycat went for mech and then Yules.
Yes.
Maybe he just thought that the way the game was going, if he had more of a solo impact, that he could buy time for the PL to farm. Like, that's what I assume his logic was. Because with the Yules, you actually have solo kill potential on a lot of the heroes on Na'Vi during that mid-game phase. And he did have a pretty decent recovery. But after seeing the Yules played out, of course, hindsight, it's very easy to say what might have been better, but just anything that would allow him to right-click a little against this team or tank up a little bit more. I think maybe he was also thinking of Yules as a defensive utility. It just never really worked out for him.
Yeah, I mean, again, going back to the mid-fight where he got swapped, the Yules was essentially as good as it could have gone in that fight, and it was still not enough. When we were talking about Shadow Fiend's item build a little bit earlier, I was thinking some sort of just immensely tanky physical aspect, like you go mech, which was what he started with, Helm of Dominator, BKB into Talisman Butterfly, in which if you get swap, you pop BKB, you're looking at magic immunity and a ton of armor, a ton of evasion, which, I mean, in the face of all these Necrobook and the damage output, maybe that would be enough. I'm not sure. Again, High Science 2020, and I'm sure he's going to have a lot to think about his item choice after this game. But for now, Na'Vi is threatening to get the last set of racks.
We'll see if Na'Vi are able to stem the tide here. This is going to be by far the hardest push to stop. Just in terms of what net worth Na'Vi has in comparison to Alliance right now, the lead is astronomical at this point. And again, PyCat still same net worth as he was 5 minutes ago when I said 5 minutes prior to that. He still hadn't gotten any more money. So his items are pretty much the same. He has almost max souls. He's one short, so his Requiem's going to be dealing a pretty hefty amount of damage. It's just a matter of, I think Na'Vi are almost relied upon to make a mistake at this point and their high ground push, and they might even just say, we don't need to end it right now. We can wait out the next like 6-7 minutes for Roshan.
They can. I mean, they got complete map control. Right now, Alliance's gold is essentially halted. Loda's, farming / defending their base, but I think the more important thing is not about Loda getting farm, but like you said, about PyCat getting farm, and to a lesser extent, Admiral Bulldog getting the next item as well.
I really think that from PyCat's perspective, this game was supposed to be a lot more around Loda dealing with the Lycan, and then PyCat just being able to sit in the back, pop his mech, and get a Requiem off, and play more of a utility role until he got more farm.
Right.
Because even though he started off the game in one of the best possible ways by getting First Blood and the Bounty Rune, Sonico ruined that start for him, like, single-handedly. So if I'm looking back on this game, I'm just looking at the Shaker going, why did you do this to me? But Roar on the Sonico here is going to burn all of his mana. Bulldog, he gets swapped in, though, annihilated immediately. Overgrowth coming in from Ake, hits on 3 members of Na'Vi. Artstyle pops the Ghost Scepter, trying to walk away. Fiend's Grip now onto Funnick. They managed to get 2 here. Alliance somehow managing to defend this. Dendi going to be forced to likely blink away here. Very impressive that they managed to get a 2 for 1. I guess it was just because Sonico had no mana. Like, he got burned by the book as soon as the Roar came out, and even though Bulldog traded his life for it, it was a very opportunistic trade.
You can see how important the Earthshaker dropping the Echo Slam is, because if you don't, that PL, again, they don't have an answer for that PL. He gets to run free and deal all the damage output. Also, the critical thing is that Shadow Fiend got off his Requiem in a very safe position on the back line. Sure, the damage wasn't impressive, but the fact that all the summons as well as the damage reduction applied on Navi's side, the Lycan wasn't really hitting that hard.
Well, he was Overgrowth, too.
Yeah, well,
because he
that's the bigger part, right?
Yeah, Hubbles preemptively BKB'd, and then as soon as the Overgrowth came out, like, Ake was very, very patient with it, waited until all of them pretty much BKB'd, and then he's just like, oh yeah, free 3-man Overgrowth. Nice BKBs. So that was pretty much a perfect team fight from Alliance, at least in this situation. Like, given the lead that Na'Vi have, just getting that, I mean, they fought that with a 30,000 gold deficit.
Yeah.
And they managed to go that trade. That's insane.
Okay, so look towards PyCat's item choice. He's got Blink Dagger. You know, we were talking about how he needs to pick up item to tank up, but his way of doing it is to not get hit at all, which obviously...
It's not a bad way to play it.
Right, if you could pull that off, it's good, but it's...
The other thing, too, is the synergy between having a Fiend's Grip and an Overgrowth come out. Like, Ake manages to find that situation again, and they can get a Requiem based off of that. It would be very, very nice. They're going to Yules here on the Sonico. PyCat going to pop the BKB. Artstyle goes for the defensive swap. PyCat now just using the Requiem for damage reduction. A little bit of a slow, but Bulldog, he's going to go down straight away. Doesn't even get the Roar off. It's a double kill for Dendi as Bane drops as well. They're turning around right now, just killing the books, looking like they want to chase a little bit more. Loda making his way out here. He is afflicted by the Veil, by the way, just in case anyone doesn't know. You always see that little purple haze on you if you are PL, even on the enemy team. Ake, though, getting caught out inside of the woods as well by the book, and Avos just chomps him down with a couple of right clicks.
Why do you think the Alliance decided to leave their base to chase for a kill like that? That was a very aggressive blink forward by the Shadow Fiend.
Well, Echo Slam onto Loda. Is that a Hex as well? Yeah, he's out of there. I think this might just...
this might be, GG.
A very well played game by Na'Vi, I have to say. And in the beginning of the game, after watching the way the lanes rolled out, I actually thought that Alliance had a chance to kind of drag it on because they dealt with Funnick very well during the mid-game. They kicked him out of the woods multiple times, they picked off a lot of the members of Na'Vi, and it felt for a while that PL was going to get to that inevitability factor where he was just too much. But Na'Vi